Hi, this is Myra with Boutique Paint. Today we're going to be working with the new IOD molds and the DOS modeling clay in Terra Cotta. And I'll also show you the gray one also, but we're going to get started first with this. You can see that I made a few samples up, and you can already see how adorable they are. There is a little bit of cracking, just like with the IOD air dry clay, but they're pretty sweet. So what we want to do first is we want to go ahead and cornstarch the mold. Now, if you're using different colors in the molds, each time you change colors, like if I go to white next, I'm going to want to clean this mold out pretty good because of the color might stay behind a little bit, and we don't want that. We don't want speckled Santa Clauses and snowmen, unless that's the look you're trying for. Today what we're going to do is we're only working on the top parts. I want to just capture the tops of these. So next what you want to do is grab some clay. This will color your hands. It's not permanent, but you'll look at your hands and it'll be all nice and red. And I want to roll it in a ball. The reason why I'm rolling it in a ball is these molds are so detailed. And you really want to be able to push the clay in there and not have any, see how there's lines there? I'm going to use that facing up, this side smoother. So I'm going to start with the Santa Claus. And start in the center and just kind of work clay in the direction you want it. And you will notice this is a little stickier than what we're used to working with. So it's okay to go ahead and take a little bit of the cornstarch on your fingers and just kind of, if you start out that way, they won't stick to your hands quite so much. And just get it in there nice and tight to the mold. So really push it in there. Okay, let's go ahead and get this one pulled out. You can see what it looks like. And there you go. Pretty nice, huh? So I just kind of rounded the beard as it is rounded on the mold itself instead of going all the way down. All right, let's move on to our snowman. It's really interesting, the different properties of each product. But I'm really liking this clay. It's the colored clay is really fun. All right, then we'll do an angel. I'm going to be using the same clay, but this time I'm going to be using their stone color. So same thing. I've got the let's get this open a little bit more. I've got the cornstarch powdered in there. I'm going to take a chunk. Once again, we're going to roll it in a ball. And I'll show you here in a second why I realized that this part was important. But let's get this going first. Okay, that side's the best side, the most rolled out side. So I'm just going to get it pushed in here. You can take the excess clay off as you go. Just make sure you're getting it in there nice and tight. Oop, I meant to put a little bit of cornstarch on my fingers again, and I didn't. All right, that really does make a difference with this clay to have a little cornstarch on your fingers. Okay, now I'm going to really push that down in there. All right, now we'll pop it. I go. So on her, you can see how perfect her face is. On this one, all the imperfections on there are not from cracking when drying. The imperfections are from not getting the clay in there nice and tight and having a smooth surface when you start. That being said, you know, imperfections are nice too. It definitely makes it look vintagey, stone-like. I had these pots, and so I thought, well, these would be super cute on the pots. So I just took a little bit of glue and put it on the back. Make sure you're not all the way to the edges, but pretty close. All right. Get her flipped over. This molding clay does take a while to dry, so you got to be patient. What I did when it came to drying these ones is I let them dry for a few hours face up, and then I flipped them over, let them dry for a little bit on that side, and then flipped them back. And I didn't have any curling. I might have been able to just leave them on one side, and I did have them on a piece of cardboard, so that would help draw the moisture out. Same with this, because concrete is so absorbent. This will start drying a little bit faster because the concrete will start absorbing the moisture in the clay. Now, to hold her in place, what I did is I just took one of the molds and I just set it like that. You could go get yourself some terracotta pots from your local hardware store and put some of these on a terracotta pot too, and that would be super sweet. So, okay, so next what I want to do is I'm going to color these a little bit with some white. So I'm going to make a white wash is one way we're going to color it. I'm just going to take a little bit of white swan DIY paint, and that's not very much, is it? And then we're going to add just a smidge of water. Don't need much for this. And then we're going to get this mixed up. And we're just going to take a little bit of this wash. Actually, I'm going to put this right onto the paper towel. And we're just going to wash over it. And you don't have to do the whole thing. You can just do parts. But it just kind of gives a little something so that the detail, since there is so much detail on these little guys, it shows up. You could also, you know, vintage it up a little bit with the dark and decrepit. All right, I'm going to grab another paper towel. I'm just going to go in there and gently wipe off the excess. Trying to get some of that in the crevices a little bit better. And we're just wiping kind of the high spots. And that will show a lot more detail. And of course, the other way you could do it is you could take your wax brush and a little bit of wax, and wax it up. And you could do this probably just with the white wax. I always liked putting the clear on first, just so that it's easier to rub back whatever you put on. All right. Try to get into those crevices a little bit. Get some of the decrepit dust in white. Just kind of get it in there. So either way would be fine. Whatever you might have on hand, use it. And of course, you can use these techniques with the DIY clay and then the white, and then go ahead and use the dark and decrepit dust and get in there and get the details and antique it up, and they would be beautiful. Because this is the Terra Cotta, I thought that the last year's little guys would be super cute in it also, which they are. This is Ginger and Spice, the Ginger and Spice mold. Try the same idea with the stone color. And it's okay if you could whitewash the whole thing. Matter of fact, I probably will to a certain extent, just so that it feels like it's all kind of one piece. So that's what that looks like. Let me grab the other one so you can see. Let's go ahead though and just add a little bit of the white throughout. And it doesn't have to be perfect. We kind of want it a little bit on the organic side. I'm liking that. Look how pretty that is. Just gives a little bit a contrast. All right, so I went ahead and just made a loop out of this organza ribbon and did a bow for her. And I just glued the loop on the back, and then I glued the bow onto the loop. And it turned out pretty good. The other thing you can do also is, this won't work for all of them just because of the way, the orientation. Like, you could put a small hole through his little pom-pom here, and that would probably work, but you would want a pretty small holes. But then you could do a wire. This one, I went ahead and drilled it, and I was very, very careful, and I went very, very slow, but I just put a wadded up paper towel and I drilled it through carefully, and it worked, but it makes me a little nervous, and not everybody has drills. So while the clay is still wet, what you can do, and this is the one I just made, is you can take a straw and just punch it through. And as you well know, there's all different size straws, so get something that that's kind of big in my opinion. So, but that's what I had. And then you can just go ahead, and if you're doing a wider ribbon, just cut a really angled piece off. That way it's easier. And then I usually kind of just fold it up anyway, just because it's easier to get it through. And there you go. So I just happen to have this ribbon, and it happens to be terracotta color, which is awesome. I went out last year and this year. Actually, I bought ribbon before and after, because I don't like starting a project and not having it. That being said, you know, sometimes you don't know. I mean, how often do you do a project in terracotta? This is my first, so I just happen to have this. I thought it was pink, but it matches perfectly. It's kind of a mauve. Trying to get a knot in here and kind of failing. So there we go. Not a pretty knot, that is for sure. Just kind of pull it up. Then you can pull those down. There we go. And then you can recut your ends. That's it for this week. Thank you so much for joining me. If you have any questions, you can go to our website at www.boutiquepaint.com. See you next week. Bye.